So as soon as we have a good first grip in the collar that's threatening the choke, it kind of forces both of us down a certain track. He's obligated to start to defend. And when he does, already we can't be just parked on top of him with our hip. We either need to be further forward than his hip, which we're not in this instance, right? Our hip is over his hip, so we have to take the weight of our hip off. Okay? And now, I want us to just test the directions. Our partner on the bottom is going to bridge straight up. Okay? Just stay tight. It's not going to do anything. He's going to bridge us towards the free side. We have our arm to post. And now he bridges us away. And his bridge carries us into our S-hump. And now we're just going to pick up the arm, which will be left behind. All right, let's go. So again, once we give direction to this situation with a good hand in the collar, we've shifted our weight slightly. Maybe instead of trying to apply a bridge, our opponent wants to apply a hip escape. So if he reaches and tries to push this leg between his legs and turn to his side, it's going to be the same thing, right? We slide up, we make sure our body traps the arm and it stays woven, and we're going to find the arm. Or we go to S-mount, potentially we lose the arm, and we're still in a good position. Okay? So if we have the good grip, we have a little shift. If our opponent is going to really have to turn to his side to try to push this leg between his legs, when he does, we slide up. Here. Pass. It's basically the same movement here. So I want the person on the bottom. Can you do here? Okay. Because this arm is woven, this arm is vulnerable. So if I'm trying to turn here, if he just slides, this arm is still stuck. Right? He can take my arm. So we're going to go back. But more than that, I want us to see what happens if, okay, because his arm is woven, he has to be very careful if he's going to go to that side. But sometimes your opponent will try to turn a little bit back towards you. And if he tries to turn towards you this way, he's going to give the neck. Because technically everything he does needs to be in that direction if he hasn't addressed this grip yet. Okay, so if he wants to try to turn and face us a little bit here, boom, his neck is now in play, you see? Right here. So if we have a chance to get the thumb inside, it will be stronger. If we don't have that opportunity, you can just do a little kind of light karate chop to place the blade of your wrist in the right place on his neck and make the grip to lock it in place. Okay, don't think about making the grip first. Put the blade of your wrist where it needs to be and now find the grip that locks it in. Elbows track tight to your body, forehead on the floor on the side of the top hand, and we're going to expand our chest through our arms. Our elbows track our ribs as they wrap our body. And we basically want to connect our chest to them. So try not to get stuck behind your arms. Sometimes we have that temptation. Okay, we make the grip so tight, we put our arms here, and now we've essentially made like a block between ourselves and our opponent. So we want to kind of work ourselves through our arms to connect. At the same time, your knees will spread slightly to spread our weight and get really stable. Forehead on the floor. Okay. Another little detail that's going to be helpful for your base is whatever side your head ends up on, right? Always the side of the top hand. But make sure your eyes are looking back down towards your feet. Don't look towards his head. Okay? Because as soon as we look towards his head, we can't adjust our hip anymore. If we're here, what side would he want to bridge us? Right? Towards our head. That's the side we're vulnerable. So we can adjust with our hip if we're looking that way. If I look towards his head and he bridges me that side, I can't adjust with my hip. Okay? So it's going to be much more likely that we lose the position. It's a very small detail, but it can be very important. All right, let's go. So remember, our best attack is always when we can use our opponent's reaction against them. But here we're gonna set this up, and he's not gonna give us so much of a reaction. So I also want us to see how we can kind of force the attack. One, if he's really committed with this arm to defend, it's gonna be maybe easier to push this arm across, and we can work our way to the arm lock. If he's worried about the arm lock, the arm's not really in the picture, that's when we can come in and start to look directly for the choke, even without the setup, right? He's just not giving us the good defense, go right to the choke. Okay? But the third one we're gonna do now, that we're gonna work on, is we're gonna be here, right? We have the ability, if we see his arm comes too high in the defense, we can just slide and look for the arm lock. If he bridges away from us, we can look for the arm lock. If he hip escapes over there, we can look for the arm lock. Okay? If he tries to defend the choke and puts his arm too much in there, we can get the arm lock. But another thing that happens a lot is we can start to look for the choke, and our opponent's gonna come with this hand, and instead of trying to hold the first arm, he's gonna come and try to find my second arm. Yes, it is there. And all we're gonna do is fold this down. Okay? Our elbow tucks to our body. So my elbow's going to touch my hip. And now my second hand is going to come on top of my first. And I'm going to crunch, put all our weight into the lock. So go very slow here. Okay? Sometimes you feel like because when we come here and our opponent tries to block it, we fold with our weight. And we put our weight here, we think, oh, our base is vulnerable, right? He can bridge us here because we don't have a post. If he bridges us, it makes it worse. We use more weight against his wrist, okay? Oh, a lot of us need our hands for work, so let's be really careful, okay? So one more time, the hand goes in, he starts to defend, shift the weight. Little subtle weight shift, it's not big. You're not sitting your butt on the mat. Okay, you're not switching to an S mount. He's still flat. There's no S mount here. Just a little weight shift away because our posting arm is being controlled. Now, we're gonna go start exploring, seeing what's gonna happen when we look for the choke. He starts to defend, fold, elbow tight, double up, finish. Okay, let's go.